Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. One thing that I've been wanting to say to you, people do this all the time. They'll think, I've been wanting to tell you something, but this is something that's been going on in my mind lately. And I know I've told you about it before. At one of the sports shows that Linda and I go to, and I'm here with Linda today, so I may ask her a question or two in this report. But we recently returned from a sports show we did down by Utica. So we're talking to a much closer population of people that can visit our area. And one of the things that really fascinated me is I had a father and son come into the booth. Now the son was an older teenager or right in that young adult phase. So these two fished together a lot. And when he came into our booth, he says, I've been wanting to see you. He says, we love that area. We just love it. And I said, really? And he started telling me the story. And he had watched a video that my buddy Dave Swanson had on upnorthny.com. It was on his website. And it was a video of fishing the Grass River. And this father and son, I'm not sure where they were from, but they weren't from Utica either. They were from much farther away. They said, we watched the video and we came up there 3 years ago, and that's become our favorite place to go. And here's what came of that. They started telling me where they went, and they started showing me a picture of the first muskie they caught, which was a 48-inch muskie, that's a big, big muskie to catch in our tributaries. But they told me the exact rock that they caught it near in the exact section of the river. And so I was learning from them. And then they said to me, you know what we fell in love with when we came up there is fishing the Racket River, the other side of Messina. And I said, really, tell me about it. And they said, well, we put our canoe in Messina, and we went upstream from there. And the smallmouth bass that we caught were unbelievable. And it impacted them so much that they wanted to tell me the story about it. And it's something I haven't talked about too much. I learned something from them. Now remember something. These smallmouth bass come into the Racket River that flows into the St. Lawrence on the Mohawk Reservation in Akwesasne. And they can make their way a long way up, and they can come all the way to Messina and farther. They can actually come all the way to Raymondville before there's an obstruction, which they can't get any farther past. And so these bass tend to be big bass, and really big to be caught in tributary streams like the Racket or the Grass or any of our other ones. And I think it's something that we should be aware of, that there's some wonderful bass fishing in the lower sections of the Racket River. And we don't talk about it enough. And the biggest thing that people got to be aware of is you got to have an access point where you can get your boat or canoe or kayak into the water. This region of the Racket probably is going to be best suited by having a smaller craft, because you're going to have sections, if you try to fish a long section of it, that are going to be very shallow or fast-moving water that will be difficult to go back upstream. But the fact that there's such wonderful, the bass fishing enthralled them, and they seem to be even more impressed with that, I think, that they were the wonderful muskie fishing that they found here. But the point of this is I'm here telling you about the fishing in our area, and these people were telling me about the fishing in our area. And they're not part of our area. They come from farther away. And they come here, and Linda, you're sitting here with me right now as I do this report, and you've seen this with some of the people that we meet in the sports shows. They have come to Messina, and they've come up here to fish our waters, and they learn them so well, and they start telling us about these different sections and different spots. And I can think of one person in particular.
I bet I know his name, John.
Yeah.
What a sweet man. He comes to the shows every year.
Comes to our booth, and
he wears a brown Carhartt.
And he's as broad as he is tall.
And he's a lovely gentleman, and he just loves fishing.
He's probably near 80 years old.
Yeah.
But boy, does he ever know the Grass River now. He knows every spot that I've
Yes.
ever fished in my life, and every show that I've ever done on it, he's watched. And so he knows this area. He comes up every year now
Yes.
to these spots. This has become one of his waters.
With his friends.
Yes.
So he's bringing
And
people
most of
with
his
him.
friends are dying now. And over the last few years, every year he has this story to tell. He's lost another friend.
Yes.
But it's always a joy to see somebody that we never met before we started doing the sports shows that has come to feel our area is their own
Yes.
and shares their experience with us.
And you know what that tells me, Dawn? That tells me that once we highlight a specific area of our part of the world, people are eager to come back and tell us what fun they had, how nice the people were, and what great fishing we have. And that's always a highlight of these sports shows, to talk to people who are becoming our friends and neighbors just because they come up during the summer to experience what we have.
And that really, and Linda, you're right. You know, doing these sports shows is tough on us. I mean, we have to set up the booth and tear it down and carry heavy weights long distances. And
Yes, and it takes about
but it's
5 hours for setup and breakdown.
Yeah, and but it's a reward that we get from it. Is not just being able to tell our story, but it's the friendships we make because of fishing, because of what we offer people, and they come to share the experience and then pass on their stories about it to us.
Oh, it's fabulous. It's like Old Home Week, where you get a chance to
It
interact with folks who have come up to the North Country, and then they tell you the wonderful experiences they had and how they're coming back again.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so I just wanted to share this with people listening right now, that when we tell the stories about all that we do at the sports show, it isn't about just us.
No.
It becomes a way that other people can share
Absolutely.
what they feel about the North Country.
Yes.
Until next time, folks, this is Don and Linda with the North Country Fishing Report.